right. Hello, Dr. Carrie. Thank you so much for joining us. We just wanted to ask you a few questions about who you are, what you do, and how that can benefit just normal, everyday people in their lives, and how that can tie specifically into fitness as well. So, do you want to start by introducing yourself and what you do and what's your area of expertise?
I do. Thank you for having me today. My name is Dr. Carrie Green, and my background is originally I had a degree in accounting, and I did that for about 15 years, and then I realized that I wasn't really contributing to the world, so I wanted to do something more exciting and I'm a helper. I like to help people, and I also like to be I like mysteries and I like to solve problems. So I thought if I went into natural health, I would be able to accomplish all of this. It's like because everyone's a mystery, and it's kind of like solving a problem, helping people to become their better selves. So I had a few health issues. First of all, I ended up having to have my gallbladder removed. And I thought there was something wrong with my gallbladder. And so, of course, they removed it. And initially, I felt okay. And then I started to have other issues, and I never attributed it to liver issues. Liver issues are ultimately what causes the gallbladder to have issues. But a regular MD, they see one thing and they concentrate on the one thing. A natural medicine doctor sees the whole picture and triangulates everything. For example, your headache might not start in your head, it might start in your gut. So that's when it all started. I didn't have a gallbladder, and which, I basically had liver issues. It was due to my diet. And so I didn't know that I had to eat certain types of food, and I had to take methylated B vitamins. I didn't know any of these things because doctors don't tell you these things.
Yeah.
So it led to other issues, like I ended up with a severe sinus infection because I had gut issues. So the sinus issues didn't start in my sinuses; they started in my gut. Awful gut health led to sinus issues, led to the gallbladder, led to I was malnourished. Everyone thought I looked great because I was skinny, but I was malnourished.
That's so bad.
I was so sick. I was skinny sick.
Yeah.
You know,
You looked good on the outside, but not on the inside.
I did. I also had acne as an adult my whole life until I was an adult, and I used all kinds of creams, and they would go away temporarily. I tried Accutane, I tried benzoyl peroxide, I tried everything, and it was a temporary fix.
Right.
And then it took me a while to realize it was all gut issues. And once I fixed my gut, the acne went away, the liver issues went away, the sinus issues went away. Then I knew I was onto something.
Yeah.
Not only could I help myself, I could help other people because it just wasn't out there.
My conversations in talking to you, I've realized that a lot of health issues, skincare issues, everything stems from your gut. So can you talk a little bit about, for just like the average person that knows nothing about any of this, like where should they
I
start?
think where anyone can start without seeing a doctor is what we call the BULLS, BULLS, and it's just cleaning your body up, cleaning your system up. The B is bowels.
Okay.
If you aren't pooping every day, if it's not a nice long looking sausage,
Yes. Okay.
something's going on. Are you
Yeah.
dehydrated? Are you getting enough protein? Are you eating too many carbs? It's a source of elimination, your bowels, and it gets rid of waste. So if you aren't eliminating every day, the toxins are building up.
Yeah.
It's going to come out through your skin.
Wow.
It's going to stay in your gut. So a lot of people say, well, I poop once a week. I'm just like, oh gosh, all of that. So all of the poisons are just staying in there. They're just floating around.
Yeah.
They're coming out your skin. A lot of reasons why a lot of us have acne is because we have all these toxins that need to get out. and your skin is an organ. It's another way for it to detoxify. It comes out through your skin. So that's the bowels. You need to do whatever we talk about things you need to do to make sure that you're having a regular bowel movement. It looks good.
Okay.
So the U, what is the U? The U is the urinary system. So, make sure you're peeing a lot, peeing often. And the thing is, if your pee doesn't look like hay, like the color of hay, like that yellow, light yellowish color, if it's dark yellow, you're dehydrated. You need to drink more water. Because it's another way for your toxins to eliminate, to leave your body. If it's too light, you're drinking too much.
So if it's white, like your pants.
Yes.
Too much.
Yeah, or clear, you don't see it in the toilet bowl. It just looks clear. So that's just another way of eliminating all the toxins. An L is a lymphatic system. So your lymphatic system, it's all throughout your body. It's under your arms. It's in your face. It's down here. It's in your stomach. It's just everywhere. And what that does is it grabs toxins and it pulls it out of your body. And the thing is, your lymphatic system doesn't work on its own. I mean, you can't just sit there and your lymphatic system is moving, unfortunately.
Okay.
You have to get your lymphatic system moving. You have to walk. You have to move your arms.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you need to do some sort of movement.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
okay.
absolutely. You can go on a rebounder. It's a little mini trampoline, and that's huge for moving the lymphatic system. So anyone can do it.
Okay.
It helps to pull the toxins out. So a lot of the diseases and other health issues we have is simply toxins built up in your body, and it can't get out. So you think of your body like it flows. The toxins are here, they flow out through these different systems.
Okay.
And if any of these systems are compromised, it's like it's a bottleneck.
Okay.
So all of these toxins, all of a sudden they get stuck here and they can't get out because maybe your bowels aren't working right. Maybe your urinary system isn't working right. Maybe your lymphatic system isn't open like it should be.
Yeah.
So then it takes longer for all of your toxins to get out, and that's what can lead to a lot of issues we have.
So movement is quite literally medicine.
Yes, movement is medicine. So all of these 100 plus year olds, older ladies, and they interview them, they'll say, well, what is your secret to long life? And they always say something like, well, I drink a shot of whiskey every night or something like that, or I eat peanuts or something. But there's a commonality that all of them have, and it's that they move.
Yeah.
They go out in their garden. They don't sit and watch TV all day long. They're just moving. The other L is lungs.
Okay.
So you have to make sure you're breathing correctly, and that you do things like walking, which expands your lungs, because the lungs also get rid of toxins. But the S is skin.
Okay.
So that's another way to detoxify. So when you're slathering on all the lotions and the perfumes and the sunscreens, you're blocking your skin's ability to detoxify.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so, if you have to put on perfume, put it on your clothes, put it in your hair, something. Don't put it on your skin.
Okay.
We can talk about moisturizer, but you don't need moisturizer. If you're eating the right foods, your skin's going to be naturally moisturized. And sunscreens, there's good sunscreens and bad sunscreens, but that's another reason why people break out. If your body's not sweating,
right?
If it can't sweat, if it can't get the sweat out, that's why if you wear certain deodorants and it blocks it.
Yeah.
So that's the bowls, and that's what I would just tell everyone. The first step you want to do to being healthy without seeing a doctor is make sure your bowls are good. Make sure everything's good, and if any of them are compromised, work on that. And it's easy. You don't need to see a doctor. You don't need to take meds.
So you touched on a lot of different things there. So I want to focus a little bit on the U, so urinary. Can you talk to us a little bit about hydration? Like how much should I be drinking a day? I think, you gave me some of the best advice ever, which was I need to be consuming electrolytes daily. Like, can you tell people why they should be doing that? Why water isn't just enough? And then I think the other tip that you gave me that I love is to drink filtered water, which I think that's helped me a lot. So just touch on those things and tell people like what they should be doing with their hydration.
Older people will say, well, you know what? I don't drink a lot of water and I'm this old and I'm fine. Well, you know they're not really fine if you dig down in it. But the difference between someone that's 80 years old and someone your age is, they grew up eating foods that had a lot of minerals in them because there was more minerals in the soil. Nowadays, we don't get the minerals we need. So that's another important reason we have to have electrolytes. Electrolytes are basically minerals.
Okay.
And some people will say, well, I drink tap water. What's in your tap water?
Yeah.
There could be chlorine, there could be fluoride, there could be bacterias, there could be a lot of things that will compromise your health. So I say avoid tap water at all costs.
Okay.
Well water is good. It has some minerals in it. Just test it and make sure it doesn't have any nasty stuff.
So if I don't have access to well water, is like a Brita okay?
A Brita is good. So think of water as being living. It's a living thing because it contains all the minerals, electrolytes, and everything that you need. You put it through a filter and it's dead. So a lot of people are like, well, I drink reverse osmosis water. You're drinking dead water. It's just liquid. There's nothing in it. There's no minerals. There's nothing.
Okay.
So I recommend that people drink about half their weight in water. I don't know if I'm explaining this right. So let's say you're 100 pounds. You would drink 50 ounces of water a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good parameter.
Yes. And I know that sounds like a lot, but once your body gets used, you'll pee a lot if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
But once your body gets used to it, you're fine. And the biggest thing is, if you have electrolytes in your water, you won't be peeing as much. I know that sounds odd, but because your body is absorbing it, it's using it. So your organs, your organs, your blood, your brain needs to be hydrated. Most of the time, people are dehydrated and don't realize it. When you feel like you're thirsty, you're way beyond dehydrated already.
Wow. Okay.
So as far as electrolytes go, I would say if you had Brita water or reverse osmosis or bottled water, which I hope is glass, just take a bottle, pour some electrolytes in it.
Okay.
And it's the same as if you drank 3 bottles of dead water.
Wow.
You're getting the same amount of the water that you need.
Okay.
So think of it that way. That's another reason why electrolytes are good.
Yeah.
So instead of, having to drink 100 ounces of water, if you're 200 pounds, you're drinking, 33 ounces. So you can get tests from Amazon. They're really cheap. I think it's like $10 and you get a bunch of little tests. You just dip in the water and it shows you.
That's easy.
Yeah. I just basically test for the bad stuff and just dip a little stick in there and you can hold it up to what's going on and see the levels of what you need.
Okay. And what's the bad stuff? Fluoride?
Yeah. And if it's well water, there could be something else in there that seeped in. But chlorine is vicious on your system. Unfortunately, that's in almost all city water because they just have to kill the bacteria.
Yeah.
But you're also still getting things like pharmaceuticals. People flush pharmaceuticals down the toilet. It goes into our water, and that can't be filtered out. So they say everyone who drinks city water gets a certain percentage of antibiotics through their water. Yeah, not realizing it. And I'm sure it's very minute, but it's still there.
Yeah.
When they test for COVID, back when COVID was a thing, do you know how they did that? They checked the city water to see the levels in there of and so it's crazy how they do that. They test the water to find out flu, they test the water to find out because it's just going right back in there and they can't filter it. They can't you can't get it from the water, but they can see, the antibodies and whatnot. So
You touched on this earlier, but why should people not be drinking out of plastic?
Oh, yeah. So people shouldn't be drinking out of plastic because there's PFAS in there, forever chemicals.
And what's PFAS?
Um, it's an awful, I believe it's a petroleum derivative that is poisonous. It does not leave your body. It can accumulate. Plus, you get, microparticles of plastics stays in your body. Especially if you're young, it can affect you. Like it can affect your fertility. It can affect your
Whoa.
mood. Yeah, your hormones. They're hormone disruptors. So
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So, we have bottled water. I'll drink it on occasion if I'm going somewhere and I need a little travel bottle and I don't have time to
Yeah.
put it in a regular bottle. I'll grab it. I mean, no one's perfect. Also, the bottled water, it could be sitting on a shelf for a year. And so just think of all of that plastic leaching into your water.
Wow.
And sometimes you can taste it, you know,
Yeah.
especially if your bottle gets warm and then it cools off again. You can taste that.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on in the warehouse. It's you know changing temperatures, and it's kind of crazy.
You
I
don't
just
want any of that in your body.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and I'm going to touch on the electrolytes again.
Yes.
You don't always have to purchase, electrolytes per se. You could just get salt, not the table salt. The table salt is synthetic. It's not good.
Okay.
Celtic sea salt, Himalayan sea
Okay.
salt, um, yeah, Baja salt.
Yeah.
Those are good. Just take a pinch and put it in your water, or take a pinch and put it on your tongue before you
Yeah.
drink some water every day. Even in the morning,
Okay.
I know a lot of people, they'll just take a pinch of salt, put it on their tongue, and then drink some water, and they feel like almost an energy surge in the morning.
Like your brain is firing.
Right, because you're
Yeah.
hydrating, and it's
Yeah.
immediate.
It's
So
crazy the benefits that you get from just salt.
yes, and it's hydrating,
Yeah.
and so I think that's it for that part.
Yeah. That was a lot. You have anything else on hydration?
No.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. So I want to switch topics a little bit. So when I first started working with you, you recommended that I take 3 different tests to kind of gauge my hormone levels and what those were all doing, as well as my omega 3 and my vitamin D levels. Can you talk a little bit about why you recommended that? Do you recommend that for everyone?
Recommended the hormone test for you because um, you had issues that told me that you had some hormonal imbalances going on, skin issues, energy, mood, whatnot. So that's the reason why we did that.
So for just like the normal person, what specific things should they look for? Like if they're, tired all the time, like is that a key indicator that they should take this test? Or what are some key things they should look for?
That could be a test. I look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
There are some people, and I just know that they're low in certain nutrients,
Okay.
or they have too much stress going on, or maybe they're,
Yeah.
But a lot of it depends on age as well. So
Okay.
people my age, I might be thinking their cortisol is off,
Okay.
or their estrogen is really low. Someone your age, I might be thinking your estrogen is high.
Yeah.
So let's just check it just to be sure, because I don't want to give you a recipe on things you should be eating and supplements you should be taking when it could be as easy as like a hormone adjustment.
Right.
What I would say is vitamin D is very important. Most of us are deficient in vitamin D, even if we're in beautiful, sunny South Florida.
That it shocked me so much. I get out in the sun almost every day, go on a walk or whatever, and I was vitamin D deficient.
Yes. So I like to say my husband golfs every day almost, and he says, "Oh, there's no way I'm vitamin deficient because I'm out there in the sun." Well, he wears sunscreen.
Yeah.
He's not walking around naked absorbing the
Yeah.
vitamin D.
I hope not.
No, and he's in the air conditioned house, so there's vitamin
Right.
D isn't getting to him. His diet might also make it hard for him to absorb vitamin D.
Interesting.
He might have genetic snip that would make it so it's harder to, especially like if you don't have a gallbladder, you're not absorbing fatty
Yeah.
vitamins like vitamin D.
Okay.
So I just want to test that because vitamin D is so important for our health. A lot of issues can be resolved, even hormonal issues, with a vitamin D test. If you have low
Yeah.
vitamin D, you could, for example, even older people when they talk about fibromyalgia.
Okay.
So that's misdiagnosed about half of the time, and it's just actually low vitamin D.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so once you build up your vitamin D, your pains,
Yeah.
your aches go away. A lot of autoimmune diseases and issues,
Wow.
low vitamin D. Once
Yeah.
they get their vitamin D up, these things kind of just melt away.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and vitamin D is actually a hormone. A lot of people don't know that.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that.
yeah, yep, it's a hormone.
Okay.
So
What are some of the benefits that you can see right away from taking a vitamin D supplement?
oh gosh, mood improvement, sleep improvements.
We love that.
Yeah. Skin issues, hormones start to level
Okay.
out a little bit. Yeah, aches and pains, especially even someone that has a lower back pain.
Yeah.
I'm like, get your vitamin D checked.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's your
Wow.
body screaming for vitamin D.
That is, your body will tell you what you need. You just need to
Right,
listen to it.
right. Yeah, a doctor might say, well, let's go do some surgery.
Yeah. I hate that response. Like,
Yeah.
that is-
Yeah, or you're depressed.
and you could just simply take a vitamin D supplement.
Right. Vitamin D is an antidepressant as well.
Wow.
And yeah, so you just want to make sure your levels are good. Sometimes the doctors will say, well, if you're at a level 30, you're good. I say try to be between 50 and 100. I'm at 80 right now.
Okay.
I feel good. It also, during COVID, they used to say, well, if your vitamin D levels are good, it's hard to get COVID. It's so true.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of like a reflector. It reflects
Like
a lot of
immunity.
illnesses. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And they put it in IUs. So they'll say like 5,000 IUs, 10,000 IUs.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but it isn't. 10,000 IUs is like 20 minutes out in the sun.
Okay.
That's all it is.
That's it.
It sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
So when my people are really low in vitamin D, I might say, well, take 50,000 IUs. Oh gosh, that sounds like a crazy amount,
Yeah.
but it isn't.
And it's also natural, so
It's
you're
yes,
not inundating your body with like
yes.
Advil or something.
It's almost impossible to take too much vitamin D
Okay.
to get up to the high levels because it's a fat soluble vitamin.
Yeah.
It won't just blast you all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's a gradual thing. Your fat cells absorb it.
Okay.
Of course, check your vitamin D levels when you're taking higher doses of vitamin D,
Right.
just to make sure it doesn't get too high. I mean, technically I've never seen anyone with too high of vitamin D.
Okay.
It's always been low.
Yeah.
Most I've ever seen is mine when it was 100, and that's when I was taking
And that's
50,000
still within the range.
during COVID just to avoid
Yeah.
getting COVID.
Wow.
Yeah.
You gave me very specific brands that I should be buying. Why should I not just go buy the cheapest brand on Amazon? I would assume not all brands are created the same, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Sometimes Amazon has good brands. Where do they come from? I don't know. Are they a knockoff from China? Are they, are they really what they say they are? A lot of times I'll have someone say, well, I bought the same one you recommended on Amazon. The packaging looks a little different. And I'm like, yeah. Or they'll say, well, I'm not feeling anything. And I'll say, let me look at that package.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I'm like, that's not real. I don't know where you got that. So that's why I don't always recommend Amazon. Sometimes I do. If I know it's coming from a legit company, then I'll say that's okay. Myself, I always recommend Full Script.
Okay.
Not only because I can give people the best discount. It's usually like cheaper than what they can get anywhere else.
Yeah.
But because I know it's coming directly from the companies, it's medical
Okay.
grade. If you get your supplements from somewhere like CVS or Walgreens or Walmart, 99% of the time what you're getting is the bottom of the barrel quality.
Okay.
it has fillers in it, or it has a minute amount, or they're using the cheapest. For example, a good quality B vitamin will contain methylcobalamin.
Okay.
The cheaper version will contain cyanocobalamin, which is synthetic.
Interesting.
And if you have something like an MTHFR genetic SNP, it can actually do damage to you.
Wow.
It's actually harmful.
Okay.
It can accumulate. It isn't good. So that's why I try to avoid that. I say, you know what, if you don't have a job, or if you're scraping by, you can barely pay for a supplement and you need something,
Yes.
then go there.
Okay.
But you're gonna get the bare minimum. You're gonna get the fillers.
Okay.
And if someone says that they feel weird taking something, even though it's a vitamin and vitamins don't have weird side effects, it's because of the filler in it, or it's because of the capsule they use. But I also fish around. Like,
Okay.
for example, I know that there's a really good glucosamine that you can get on Costco.com website. You can't get it in the store, but you can get it there.
Okay.
I think a lot of the Costco stuff is junk,
Okay.
but there's some good things. And
Got it. Okay.
so
What I actually did, so you sent me the products I should be buying off FullScript. I bought those, and then I actually found those specific brands. I searched them on Amazon and was able to find them that way. So the convenience of Amazon and one-day delivery, I was actually able to find those brands on Amazon. So even if like you don't want to go to FullScript, maybe just browse and look at the brands that they offer and see if you can find those elsewhere.
yeah. Biggest thing is make sure that the seller is the company.
Amazon has like shipped and sold by. Sometimes they're like,
Yep. Yeah, I'm not against.
Yeah.
I love Amazon, Glamazon. I love it. I get packages almost daily. Yeah, I'm just saying, be careful. But if you find it, if you find one on there and it's cheaper, then I'm all for it.
okay, so if I'm at like Whole Foods doing my grocery shopping, for example, and I need a supplement right away, like I want to take it home with me, are there certain ingredients that I should be looking for on the back of some of these supplement bottles that I should completely avoid?
Look for something with any natural flavors,
Okay.
additives, even with like, I don't know, they have perfumes in some, which is really weird.
Perfume?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Like, why do you need something a certain scent? Or, yeah, right?
For
Like,
people to ingest, that is so bad.
yeah, or if, just like a fake vanilla flavor or something
Yeah.
like that. You don't know what it is. I would say, well, seed oils. Seed oils are huge.
Okay.
Sometimes they use it as a carrier. So like canola oil, vegetable oil, palm oil. Palm oil is a big one.
Okay.
I don't know why they put those in there. Well, I do, because they're cheaper. So like if you think you're getting, for example, a fish oil,
Yeah.
and the fish oil has that in it, just, stay away from it.
Okay.
If there's anything that says as a preservative, sometimes they'll list it like a petroleum base or something. Stay away from that. Yeah, it's really bad. Sometimes they have cornstarch as an ingredient, corn syrup, high fructose, all that fun stuff.
Okay.
Stay away from that. As far as like liquid vitamins, like I'll take a liquid magnesium supplement, and they have ones in there that have, high fructose corn syrup, or, just something awful.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, and dyes, and yeah,
Yeah.
we don't need that.
No.
I mean, you have to live, and you can't avoid everything, but,
You can't live in a bubble.
yeah, I
Okay.
would say stay away from the synthetic versions.
Okay.
There's natural versions of
Okay.
all vitamins and minerals.
Got it.
So, yeah. So, like, vitamin E, there's tocopherols, and there's tocotrienols, and there's synthetic and there's natural. And
Okay.
like I talked about before with the B vitamins, there's folic acid and there's folate.
Yeah.
So stay away from the folic acid. You want the folate or the methylfolate.
Okay.
It's the natural version. Quick story about that. So my daughter, she just had a baby, second baby.
Oh.
Yeah. The first baby,
Congratulations.
thank you. The first baby, she had an awful time. She had morning sickness. She
Yeah.
felt like crap the whole time, getting sick, sick, sick.
Mhm.
The whole pregnancy.
Yeah.
And the second one, she finally listened to old mom, and she said, "What can I do so that I don't have this?" I said, "Well, without testing you, I think you might have the MTHFR genetic SNP, which means you should avoid folic acid." And it's funny because when you're pregnant, they want to give you extra high folic acid vitamins.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and they tell you to eat the cereals that are enriched and the rice, which is enriched with synthetic folic acid.
Wow.
I said, just avoid that. Take a folate prenatal supplement,
Mhm.
which they had on full script, and I was like, here you go, I'll send it to you. And she took that, and her morning sickness went away. She felt fine.
Wow.
She didn't gain all the weight, the
Wow.
crazy extra weight that she
Yeah.
did before, because she felt good.
Yeah.
And she says this was an easy pregnancy compared to the first one. I'm like, yeah.
Crazy to me that doctors are recommending something that was giving her morning sickness. I want to touch on that in a little bit of a different light, but when you and I had talked previously, you mentioned that you have never had symptoms of menopause. And I know a lot of women out there are obviously, every woman goes through this at some point in their life. So, can you talk a little bit about that and like tell people that they don't have to go and experience the symptoms of menopause?
Menopause, they didn't really get menopause back in the day. And so, you have to study, why didn't they get the menopause back in the day? Because they were able to clear out all of the toxins. They didn't have all the stuff that we have, unfortunately, today in our foods, like glyphosate, and additives and other issues. So we get all of this built up, and puts more it puts more of a toxic burden on our livers and on our hormonal system,
Yeah.
and it throws our system off whack. So when we stop ovulating, when we stop doing these things, it's just kind of like a perfect storm.
Okay.
So you're just full of all of this nasty toxicity, and your hormones are completely disrupted, and you can't get rid of it. So there's ways you can avoid menopausal symptoms.
Right.
Make sure everything's flowing right. So the things that I did was, I avoided gluten. So, they'll say, not this many people are gluten free, but technically, if you live in the United States, you should be gluten free, because it isn't the gluten, it's the glyphosate they spray on the crops
Yes.
that we're ingesting, and it affects our stomach health, and it makes it so we can't get rid of toxins as
Yeah.
well. So all of these uh, hormonal metabolites just stay in our system, and they float around. Metabolites are like garbage. They just float around, and they come out through our skin. They come out in our mood. They
Yeah.
come out as weight gain.
Yeah.
They come out as hot flashes. They come out
Yeah.
all of this hair loss.
Yeah.
All of this. And you can avoid that by eating right. And I say, when you reach a certain age, all of a sudden the things you used to do to lose weight, it's not going to work anymore, because you need more protein, you need more fiber, and you need to cut out carbs, which, people kind of should do that anyway, but as you get to be my age, even more so.
Okay.
So like, I try to eat like 80 to 100 grams of protein a day,
Okay.
just to make sure this doesn't happen.
Yeah. Which should be what, about half your body weight?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give or take
Well,
a few grams.
Yeah, well, I'm like 130, so
Yeah.
yeah. But I try to eat that much just to avoid this, and I notice when I don't, I start to get a little bit of it. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I've had 2 kids, and
Yeah.
I eat what I want on the weekends. I have my cheat days, whatever, because you have to live your life.
Right.
But that's one of the ways to avoid issues like brain fog. The big thing is this weight right here.
Yeah.
I mean, when you hit menopause, boom. Like I said, I was really skinny. I mean, I wasn't healthy,
Yeah.
but I didn't have this. All of a sudden, I hit menopause. Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Where'd my waist go?
Yep.
You know,
That's frustrating for a lot of
Yeah,
women.
it's frustrating. I would say get your hormones checked. So when I tested my hormones, it did a complete nosedive with estrogen. So
Okay.
when I was your age, I was estrogen dominant. So I had
Yeah.
endometriosis, which was
Okay.
awful. And at the time, I didn't know it was due to my diet, and I could
Yeah.
get rid of that as well. But I went from crazy estrogen, extra estrogen floating around to nothing,
Yeah. Wow.
and no progesterone, no testosterone. And um, so I was like, what do I do? Don't be afraid of hormones.
Yeah.
Hormones are your friend
Yeah.
when you're my age.
Yeah.
The myth back in the 90s was, oh gosh, we can't take the hormones because it'll give you breast cancer, it'll give you all of these issues. That's been debunked. It's actually more helpful. It protects you. Progesterone, for example, and estrogen protect you against breast cancers and ovarian cancers and
Yeah.
all of these issues. It also makes you feel like you're 18 years old.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Some people take testosterone. Um, you know, I tried it, wasn't for me, but because the way I process things, I did start to break out a little bit, and I was like,
Okay.
okay, I don't want to go through that
Yeah.
crap again.
Right.
So, so yeah, I do the progesterone, estrogen. I
Okay.
feel great.
Yeah.
My hair isn't thinning.
Yeah.
My skin is good. I sleep well at night. I'm in a great mood. I don't have the I don't know the nastiness. Some people get moody,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
yeah. A lot of our food, like I said, doesn't have the nutrients that it used to. So you could eat an orange. You could eat an orange back in the 50s and get the same amount of vitamin C you'd get now if you ate like 30 oranges. Yeah, it's because we lack the
Wow.
nutrients and the vitamins in our soil, and then they spray this stuff, and it also depletes it. So,
Yeah.
so when you get older, even when you're younger, do your electrolytes, do your nutrients, eat nutrient-rich food, avoid glyphosate if you can.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of hormones. Hormones are awesome. And even when you're younger, like when you're your age, sometimes they just get off a little bit, and it's because
Yeah.
of the outside toxins or your food or even your stress levels affect hormones.
Definitely. All right. So we're drinking out a glass here. So, um, I want to talk a little bit, staying in that hormone realm, about birth control. So I know when you and I talked, um, I was on hormonal birth control at the time.
Oh, yes.
I had lost my period for like 3 or 4 years. I hadn't had it at all, which I thought was great at the time, but it's really unhealthy. And I know that there's so many negative effects of hormonal birth control. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you should be doing instead?
Yes. Hormonal birth control, like the pill, is really great because you don't have to worry about, you know, getting pregnant. It also helps clear acne a little bit sometimes. The reason why it does that is because it suppresses the immune system. So, when your immune system's suppressed, you're asking for other issues, and clear the it doesn't clear the toxins. The toxins just move into your body and they don't leave. So instead of coming out, like your immune system would push them out, they stay. They're stuck. Um, I think birth control is a poison. I took it when I was younger. Um, I didn't know. And you may not feel the effects now, but you'll feel it later. But like you said, you didn't have a period, so that means your whole system was like in shock, complete shock. And yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. There are other alternatives. What I learned was the IUD, the copper T. Most women who are in their 20s are low in copper anyway, so it's great because it
Okay,
leaches a
that's
little bit
great.
of copper, and there's no other hormones. There's a
Yeah.
hormonal one. I think it's called Marina.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend that. It's just like the pill.
Yeah.
But you can leave it in for 10 years. You don't have to worry about getting
Yeah,
pregnant.
that's great.
Yeah, you can take it out the second you want to have babies
Yeah.
or you're tired of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So like I said, it suppresses your immune system. So it's kind of like a mask. You know, it might make you feel better or it might suppress certain symptoms, but it doesn't eliminate them. It just changes what they present themselves as.
Started talking to you and telling you that I was on hormonal birth control. You told me the supplements I was taking, birth control basically, hormonal birth control depletes your supplements down to 0. So anything I was taking was now just getting me to negate the birth control. It wasn't increasing my levels in my supplements. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, you basically said it. Yeah, so we want to get you to optimal levels, and it's impossible to do that if you're taking something that is sucking that.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, so for example, if you think of the RDA, the recommended daily allowance of food and nutrients and whatnot they have, it isn't to get you to the optimal levels. It's to get you just low enough so you don't have diseases like rickets or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like
scurvy.
like yes, like scurvy, vitamin C, you know, rickets, vitamin D. Here's the amount. You should have 600 IUs of vitamin D to avoid, you know, that's the RDA, but that's just to avoid rickets. Like, you know,
Not to be a healthy, optimized.
I don't want to be bare minimum, you know. I don't ever want to have to worry about that. I'd rather be at optimal levels. So that's also why I would say, you know, we need to do things to, and if someone doesn't want to stop taking their birth control, I'm not, you know, I work around people. So I'm like, okay, then we just need to increase other things, or we need to, you know, eat certain foods, do a different type of exercise, or whatever we need to do to get you to more optimal levels.
Like, Carrie, I don't want to come off hormonal birth control. Would the alternative be just to increase my supplement levels, or should I be exercising more? What should I be doing if I don't want to stop doing that?
So and your vitamin levels are, and also like we said, the bowls. How are you clearing things? You know, so we might need to work on that. So maybe work on clearing things a little more because birth control isn't letting you clear it. So it's just suppressing it. It's like, you know, it's like gathering everything in a ball in your body, and you know, at some point it's just gonna burst. And you don't want that stuff in there anyway.
Great, that was really helpful. I think we touched on earlier, doctors are really pushing the hormonal birth control, and it's so bad for you, and so bad for your hormones. And I think a lot of people don't know that. So I think that was great. I want to touch on something else that's, I think, near and dear to my heart. Sleep. So I've started taking magnesium based on your recommendation. I make a little mocktail at night. It's great. Can you talk a little bit about what you recommend for people to improve their quality of sleep naturally?
We triangulate. We find out why they would have sleep issues. Is it hormonal? Is it stress? Is it nutrient deficiencies? Sometimes it's like a pillow. Sometimes it's the mattress. Sometimes it's the temperature of the room. You know, temperature of the room should be cool. Sometimes if you sleep with socks on, I know it sounds awful, but if your feet are warm, you will fall asleep faster.
Really?
Yeah, it's like this proven thing. And you can kick them off in the middle of the night if you want to, but
at least you're asleep then.
yeah, if your feet are cold, it's really hard to fall asleep.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Are you looking at your iPad or your phone 2 hours before bed? That's huge.
Get those blue light glasses.
Yes, get the glasses or don't look on it. Try not to look at the TV. It messes with your circadian rhythm.
Yep.
Make sure you're going to bed at a good time. Your circadian rhythm kicks in around 10:30 until in and so you should be in bed between 10:30 and it runs from like 10:30 to 2:30. You'll get
Okay.
ideal circadian rhythm.
Naturally.
Yes,
Okay.
working, doing its magic, healing your body,
Yeah.
doing all this great sleep. So
Yeah.
just try to be in bed at a decent time and try to be in bed around the same time every night if you can.
Okay.
Um, make sure you're not drinking a lot of water right before
Mhm.
bed. But at the same time, you have to make sure you're hydrated because you don't want to be dehydrated because that can,
It's balanced.
yeah. Let's see.
Talk to me about magnesium.
Okay, yeah, magnesium. So once again, kind of like vitamin D and EFAs, which we forgot to talk about with that test.
Mm-hmm.
But magnesium, a lot of us are deficient, and it's because we're not getting it in our foods in the soil anymore.
Yeah.
And magnesium has a lot to do with our sleep patterns, with our stress levels. I say if you're really stressed, you could always pop a magnesium, and it kind of calms you down a little bit.
Yeah.
That will help you go to sleep at night because it just kind of turns off the noise in your brain.
Yep.
Another one is B1. If someone's deficient in B1, they can do that to help turn off the noise.
Okay.
It helps you get a great night's sleep, helps you poop, all that good stuff. There's different types of magnesium, so
Okay.
I recommend the magnesium glycinate
Yep.
almost all the time. It's very easily absorbed into your system, and it's a lot of what your body needs. Magnesium threonate, it breaks the blood-brain barrier, so it can help with people with like ADHD to
Okay.
just be
Mellow
calm
out.
a little
Yeah.
bit, mellow out. Magnesium citrate, if you have constipation and you need to go to the bathroom, like right now, you take the citrate. If you go into Walgreens or all the Walmart and whatnot, if you go to get a magnesium supplement, most of the time it's citrate because it's the cheap one. So
Okay.
a lot of people will be like, well, I take the magnesium like you said, but I'm getting up in the middle of the night and all of a sudden I'm having to poop a lot. And I'm just like, yeah, because you're
It's
probably taking the
bad.
citrate, right?
Yeah.
Take the glycinate.
Okay.
It's your friend. Yeah.
I think the only supplement that I'm taking that we haven't talked about is the B complex. So can you talk a little bit about that?
The B complex are a range of B vitamins. It depends on which one you're taking. It can go B1 to B9. And what it is, think of it as like oxygen for your cells.
Okay.
So your cells need this to thrive and stay strong and to operate at full capacity.
Yep.
So a lot of people will say, gosh, you know what? I'm just like midday, I'm a slug, I cannot make it, I feel like taking a nap
Yep.
or something. It's because a lot of times you just don't, your cells aren't oxygenated enough. They're not pinging like they should. They're not moving like they should.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll say, well, let's try a good B vitamin.
Okay.
The B vitamins give you energy.
Yep.
It isn't like caffeine, like a drug. It's simply because they're oxygenating your cells.
Yeah.
So if you feel energy from a B complex, it's because you needed it, you know.
I noticed that right away, that my brain was just like firing more quickly, which sounds crazy, but I think it was the B complex that I was taking, which was great. So I think, like, to wrap it up, if you were to recommend someone that's just getting started, like the basic supplements that they should be taking, or some of the basic things that they should be doing, what are like the 4 to 5 key things that you should be doing just to get yourself started to feel better and move better?
Sleep is huge. You could be doing everything right, and if you're staying up late on your iPad or whatever, and you're not getting enough sleep, that can just really wreck you. I mean, that shortens your lifespan. So sleep is huge. I would get your vitamin D levels checked for sure, and I would check your omegas. I know we talked about that. so people that have Alzheimer's, dementia, and really dry. If you have really dry skin, it's low omegas a lot of times. And
On that for a second, that is incredible. If you want to fight off diseases like Alzheimer's or dementia, take your omega-3s. Like, that is incredible.
brain is fat.
Yeah.
Your brain is, it needs the fat. It needs the healthy fats. That's like vitamin D, omegas. Those are think of them as healthy fats, fat soluble vitamins.
Yeah.
So let's see, the D, omega, drinking enough water. Make sure you drink enough water and move. Move is huge. Huge. You could be doing all the right things, but if you're just sitting in front of a computer all day long, you're going to end up with a lot of issues. Yeah.
So, sleep, vitamin D, omega-3, water, and movement.
Yeah, those are my favorite.
There you have it. All right, cool. So, I feel like we covered a lot of topics today, a lot of great information for people. But if anyone wants to follow you or check you out or reach out to you for advice, where can they find you?
You can find me on TikTok. I like to make fun little TikTok videos on, how to reverse some things and how to feel better. And that's under Dr. Carrie, Carrie. Also Instagram, I think it's the same. And otherwise, Google me, Naples, Florida, and give me a call if you need some help.
You've really helped my whole family, honestly. So we really appreciate it. And thank you for coming today.